The anticipated attack by Iran and its allies on Israel has plunged the Middle East into enormous tension and concern. Iran and Hezbollah are preparing for a major offensive against Israel. President Biden and Vice President Harris were briefed on the delicate situation in the Situation Room last night. At the same time, there are rumors that Israel might carry out a preemptive strike against Iran. Israel's war cabinet met, and officials discussed the possibility of a preventive action based on intelligence about Iran's intentions. Meanwhile, the U.S. Central Command and White House officials are acting in the Middle East. The U.S. military is mobilizing allies to defend Israel from a possible Iranian attack. At the same time, American leaders are urging their partners to avoid attacking Iran or coordinating attacks with allied groups, and asking Israel to stay calm to avoid a larger conflict in the region. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah's threats against Israel and the ongoing missile attacks have further exacerbated the situation. The head of the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, stated that they are ready to strike quickly in Lebanon, Gaza, and elsewhere in the Middle East. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant warned that Hezbollah could make the Lebanese people pay a high price, saying they cannot even imagine what might happen. Prime Minister Netanyahu urged Israelis to remain calm in the face of attack threats. With growing tension, Egypt ordered all airlines to avoid Iranian airspace for 3 hours on Thursday morning, indicating a possible attack by Iran or Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken emphasized that the United States has warned both Iran and Israel that the conflict should not escalate, warning that the Pentagon will not tolerate attacks on its forces in the region. As you can see, the situation is very tense. Amid this tension, Hezbollah continued to attack Israel, and Israeli fighter jets responded by striking Hezbollah's headquarters. Hezbollah's attacks in the afternoon were critical. Hezbollah missiles hit Israeli military bases in the north. So far, the Israeli military has not suffered casualties as a result of Hezbollah's attacks, but at night, 19 people were injured in a Hezbollah drone attack in western Galilee. The Israel Defense Forces reported that Hezbollah launched over 30 rockets into northern Israel shortly after Nasrallah's speech. In the first attack, about 20 rockets were aimed at the Golan Heights, all falling in open areas. Shortly after, another 10 rockets were fired at the Galilee region. Some of these rockets were intercepted by the Iron Dome defense system, while others caused fires. After the drone attack that injured 19 people, the Israeli Air Force retaliated by attacking a secret Hezbollah weapons depot in Kafr Kila in southern Lebanon, where several group members were seen entering. Additionally, it was announced that the Hezbollah commander responsible for the anti-tank missile fire in northern Israel was killed in a drone attack earlier in the day. Israeli F-35 jets created sonic booms over Beirut after Nasrallah threatened with strong retaliation. Israeli warplanes broke the sound barrier over Beirut in a surprise incursion shortly before the aggressive speech by Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Residents in the north were advised to stay near shelters as cross-border attacks increased. Loud explosions caused residents to open their windows to avoid glass breakage or to go out on their balconies to watch the planes. The Israel Defense Forces did not comment on the incident. So what did Nasrallah say to provoke and threaten Israel? The Iran-backed group promised retaliation for the assassination of their commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut last week, raising fears of a major escalation that could lead to a full-scale war. In a televised speech on Tuesday to mark the first anniversary of Shukr's death, Nasrallah claimed that the sonic booms from Israeli planes over Beirut were a minor provocation. So far, we have not sought escalation. We fight in support of Gaza, but we also consider Lebanon's national interests, Nasrallah said. When one of our commanders is killed, our reaction is always intense but measured. However, the killing of a senior leader in our stronghold in southern Beirut should be treated differently, he added. God willing, our response will come from us and the axis of resistance, and it will be strong. Rocket and drone alerts sounded several times on Tuesday afternoon in northern Israeli communities near the border with Lebanon, but a Hezbollah source said there has not yet been a response to the assassination of Commander Fuad Shukr. The flights of Israeli warplanes over Beirut and Hezbollah rocket attacks have a deep psychological impact on the region's population. The constant threat of war and attacks demoralizes civilians and makes daily life difficult. These psychological pressures can cause long-term trauma and complicate peace processes. Additionally, soldiers and civilians on both sides live under high levels of constant stress, affecting their psychological resilience. Hezbollah is waiting for an opportunity to retaliate. Israeli officials believe that Iran is planning its next move and intends to threaten the Israel Defense Forces' air defense systems. Although they consider it inappropriate to carry out a preemptive strike at this moment, they are ready to act if active launches are discovered. Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah's Secretary General, indicated that Israel's waiting is part of the response and increases the psychological pressure. Israel continues to prepare for possible attacks by Hezbollah and Iran. According to reports, Hezbollah has managed to hit long-established Israeli military sites, such as landing strips and ports, but the organization has been waiting for an operational chance to exact a price from Israel. The Iranian government is reportedly planning its next move and may attempt to challenge Israeli air defense systems by launching a large-scale attack, not only from Iran, but also from Iraq and Yemen, according to Israeli officials' assessment. Israel and Iran are engaged in a constant learning conflict, where each side seeks to improve their strategies and defenses. Israel is constantly updating its defenses and strengthening its international alliances while developing detailed plans based on different scenarios and possible responses. On the other hand, Iran and its allies are trying to find ways to circumvent these defenses, choosing targets that do not result in a total conflict and coordinating their actions with militias associated with Iran. Despite the tense wait, Israel believes it is not the right time to shift its focus from Gaza to the north. Therefore, it avoids launching preemptive strikes that could trigger a larger war. However, if active launches are discovered before they fire at Israel, it is likely that Israel will strike them to prevent them from functioning fully. Israel's response to Hezbollah and Iran's attacks will depend on the munitions used, the targets hit, and the damage caused. Israel faces a strategic crossroads to maintain the current escalation, which could lead to a regional conflict, or to implement a ceasefire that would last 4 to 6 weeks in exchange for the release of 20 to 35 hostages. The incident that occurred last Thursday, which resulted in the death of a Hezbollah leader, was the second Israeli attack in the southern suburbs of Beirut in 10 months of war. During the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, Iran-backed Hezbollah claims its attacks are in support of the Palestinians in Gaza. Iran promised to punish Israel for the executions, motivated by the fact that the attack occurred a few hours before the death of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in an explosion outside Iran. Israel took responsibility for Shukr's death, but did not comment on Haniyeh's death. Instead, it stated that no other airstrike was carried out in the Middle East that specific night. Various international sources claimed that Mossad was responsible for Haniyeh's death, placing a bomb in the room where he was staying in Iran. During the period when Israelis were preparing for a possible coordinated attack and US officials were trying to minimize the consequences of Iran and its allies' anticipated retaliation, Nasrallah declared that Jerusalem had every reason to worry about Iran's attack and its axis of resistance. He urged other Arab nations to recognize the danger threatening the region and encouraged Iran's allies in Iraq and Yemen to prepare for war. In response, the Israeli government strengthened its defense systems and called up reserve troops, while the US government maintained open dialogue with both Iranian and Israeli leaders, seeking a middle ground and diplomatic solutions to avoid a major escalation in the Middle East. Did you like the content? Then don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Leave your comment below. We want to hear your opinion, and share with your friends so they can also learn more about history and military technology. Tell us in the comments which military topic you would like to see in our next video. Until the next mission.